Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty, here at you with another edition of this week's vlog. If you have been following me, my name is Dustin. I'm autistic. I'm a middle-aged man, and I've been living this autism thing for at least 25 years, maybe through the most of my life. But in that same vein, I have been living with it. Have been living on my own for 7 years now. I've been spending 5 years in this current residence, and that's something I thought I would never achieve. And I've had a part-time job for over 15 years now. And we live through the walks of life, with autism and mental health because a lot of times those are co-occurring. And some of those things that co-occur as we lead into this week's podcast or vlog is that anxiety plays a big role in that. It's a big player. And part of what anxiety does, and among many other things that could be autism and anxiety cohabitated, co-related, is the fact that we ruminate about things we can't, things that just don't seem to go away. And sometimes when those, on top of all the rumination, sometimes we ruminate about things and they can be echolalic. And if you haven't been around for a while in this autism game, echolalia is where we repeat phrases over and over again. And specifically, what I deal with is delayed echolalia. I think of these phrases, of things and thoughts and, that aren't really valid anymore, or that they carry on with me because they've been what has been preached to me, what has been told to me. Maybe they're not even true. They were never valid. They never were what they were. They never were intended for me. Um, they just oftentimes, for the longest time, and I would say they have not been valid for many years now, but they still play in my mind. And, that is part of the autism. Part of that also begins or is triggered when we have anxiety, things that cause us anxiety, that cause me specifically to want to flee or avoid something because it makes me worry about things and whether my needs will be met or whether I am safe or, be able to handle myself in a situation that may cause me a great deal of anxiety. And while I can 99% be certain that I would be safe and my needs would be met, there's still that little 1% that doesn't always think that. And it brings up these thoughts, not just then, but these thoughts appear quite often. And they're thoughts that just aren't valid anymore. They have no use to stay in my brain and stay with me and let them bog me down in life or hold me down and feel so down and out about myself or so down out, and just feeling awful because I think these thoughts that are just not true, they're not valid, they have no weight anymore. And even if they did have weight or that I thought they should be commenced, would it be the fact that I would even want to have these things go that way? Because I know that way wouldn't work for me anymore and it wouldn't be healthy for me. But it's hard in its own sense to be able to see that I have to stop. I have to start letting those thoughts that don't serve me anymore and take them out like the trash and, see that they're gone and out of my brain. And sometimes it takes focusing on things that make me happy or bring me joy and things that, inspire me or get me moving and going and, getting me away from that laying down or sitting down and feeling down and out and tell of woe, pity party, down and dark about things, that I can't fix and thoughts about things that don't happen that the way that they do anymore, or thinking that I can be the one that makes the change to make things happen or cause things to be the way that I really, in hindsight, don't really want them to be. But there's always a part in my brain that wants to think that there needs to be a part of that that needs to come back because it's like a getcha thing. It's like, we're getting somebody and we're getting what the pressure that we need to feel, we get that to go and feel away. But we don't realize how much that would in turn hurt us or cause us to be penalized for our actions or the way that we do things because we're not able to see that it hurts us more than it helps us. And we have to find more better ways to help ourselves, or specifically help myself get out of that negative rut of energy where I feel so down and out about things and that I can't fix things and things are not fine and thinking that things are not fine, but really they are, and my needs are met. And it's those little moments that just they trigger me and they get me, to start being anxious and not feel that, things are going to go the way they need to go or the thing that they're going to go the way that they're planned, because, they've been worries for me for decades and I just can't seem to shake it, even as a middle-aged man, that things, I have when things don't go at the precise moment that they should or the way that they should go, that I start to, the anxiety kicks in and I want to panic and just want to run away and avoid a situation because of a little statement or a little sense of fear that comes to the table and causes me, this wanting to avoid something because I fear that something's going to go wrong. I think the worst possible scenario and everything. But more and more, I see that there's not 80 or 90% of something that I do that is good and worthwhile and brings a sense of purpose. But it's that 10 or 20% that makes it hard to get through. And that is what makes the thoughts brew up, the excessive thinking, the thinking of these thoughts that just I know I have to let go. I tell those that it involves about these thoughts, and they tell me I have to let it go. I have to take it out like the trash because it doesn't serve me anymore. It doesn't hold accountability or purpose. It doesn't show, it isn't valid or doesn't hold any water to the theories or the thoughts that we're carrying. And it just continues to hurt me and bring me down and carry me down and bog this weight down in this energetic stance of thinking I can get over things because we did things this way or things were the way that I think they should be. But I have to learn that myself. I have to learn to adapt and grow as I have with other parts of things, but can't seem to shake off this little part of wanting this peace and this revenge of sorts to find my way of knowing that everything is going to be okay. And while, it's taken a long time to process changes to things as they happen and doing these worst case scenario things and knowing deep down I'm going to be all right. And in fact, 90% of the time I am all right. But it's just the principle of the thoughts that just brew in my head thinking that, I have to make things right or I have to want to have control over something when there's no reason for it to have control or no reason for the calamity that we're having over these thoughts that just don't hold weight anymore or don't have truth and validity to them. We think things that should be, but they really can't be. They're not going to be. They're not going to happen. They're just not reality. And what is happening now, what is working for me, what is going well is good and it works, and it's just that little bit of time that makes it so difficult for me because I get easily triggered or easily stimulated by things that cause me to worry or be anxious, and that's when it just decides to go the whole way out the window, and want me to feel this anger and this anxiety towards feeling something that I know I should not be feeling. And, I know that is not the way to act. I know that's not the expectation of what is expected of me. I know I have to do better. I know I have to get over these things, and I'm working at them. But I think it's been so long for me that I've just started to acknowledge that there is a barrier to it, and that I have to work at bettering myself to get away from that negative thinking about things that just aren't true anymore. They're not valid. They don't hold weight to the situation that I'm in. And even if they did, and I thought that I could get overcome them and by expressing them and thinking that I can hold power over them, they're not going to serve me as well as what is serving me now and what is working for me now. And it's all over this little bit of anxiety that really in essence can be solved by working to fight the anxiety and knowing that I'm safe and I'm cared for and that things are taken care of and that things are okay. And I think sometimes we just need to tell ourselves as human beings, as people who are autistic and struggling, sometimes with just the facts of life that, we're okay, we're doing okay, we're living the life that we can. And sometimes, as I'm always told, autism is not always an easy thing to bear. And then you add these mental health challenges on top of it, and that is a big thing. And people don't always see how that bogs us down or makes us feel or understand why our feelings are the way that we feel, the way we react to things is why we react, why we melt down, what causes us to lead into, having a meltdown over things that oftentimes we don't see the whole picture or we don't want to be able to control ourselves. And there have been many times when I have taken that reaction and it's turned into a full-blown meltdown because I felt like it was just so bottled up in me and so the feelings of being not only anxious but feeling angry that I was not feeling like I was in control of myself, that I would just let my anger and my angst and my upset just fly at whoever it could be. And sometimes because I wasn't doing what I was needing to do to care for my mental health, sometimes that was a full-blown meltdown in places that I didn't want to have, in front of people who looked up to me as inspiration and saw that I could have it together. But in that moment, I didn't, and I felt, and when it was all over and it was all said and done, and I recovered from it, and people and those that looked up to me were thinking and scared and questioning things, and it made me realize that I didn't want to be that person anymore, that I had to work on things. And granted, it wasn't easy to get there. It took time. It took, and there were some pretty bad things that I did over the course of the past few years. But we're better now and we're learning more every day. But it's a lot to know that I'm improving myself and not taking that energy out on others, because when I was from the meltdowns, it was to family and people that I trusted and people that I thought I could just make terrorize and threaten and feel that I could hold power over them. but I have learned that's not the way to be when you're in the outside world and when there's so many expectations that you need to meet and people that, there's people that expect things of you. And, sometimes when we react in a way that is not appropriate or not properly seen by those who are in charge, it can set us up for consequential actions that we're not always going to get out of. And over the past 2 decade and a half or 2 decades, I've been very fortunate to not have that consequential effect because people knew how I was reacting and that it was a meltdown on what it was. And I think now I realize more and more that I'm not that lucky. I'm burning bridge. I'm near the point of burning the bridge completely. I'm near the point where there's people that are new in my life that may not have so much latitude or not have as much leniency when it comes to me being able to conduct myself in the outside world or how I see things without, and understanding there's value in things like mental health treatment and sleep and things like caring for ourselves so that, we are our best selves and we're taking care of ourselves and we're not letting people hurt us and we're not hurting others in that process. There's always something going on in life, and sometimes we have to learn that we have to be our best selves so that those that love and care for us don't have to worry about us. They don't have to worry that we're gonna be, they don't have to feel scared about us. They don't have to feel like they have to worry about if we're gonna be safe and that things are not gonna get bad or things are that are gonna that we're gonna crash and burn. Those things that matter so much. And we say that mental health matters. You know, and we have to live by it. We have to care for ourselves in a way that we know that we can assure ourselves that we can be safe and that our brain is regulated and that we care for ourselves. And yes, the thoughts and the feelings are there. There's no doubt about it. But we must do more to put forth the effort if we want the change. And part of that is throwing out the trash that no longer that holds us hostage, that keeps us from moving on with our lives from keeping us, stuck in this rut of thinking, of this stinking thinking, of this, ways we think we'll never be better, we'll never get out of that rut that we're in, or feeling sorry for ourselves, or having a tale of woe. Sometimes we have to learn that we have to move on and put the trash away, take the trash out, take it to the landfill and throw it over the hill, just as a way of expressing ourselves and our way of getting rid of the feelings that we're having and letting out that frustration, that anger, and realizing that what we're thinking just isn't valid anymore. We have to let it go. We have to learn to move on and accept what is now and be happy with ourselves, love ourselves, take care of ourselves, just be happy with ourselves for once and not let these old negative, challenging, ruminative thoughts just keep boggling us down. So we have to move on. And I think in the end, that's the process that I want to do. I want to move on from this. I want to let these thoughts go. They don't serve me anymore. They wouldn't work the way they are now. I have to let them go for good, and I have to work with that, and I'm going to. So I want to thank you for listening this week. I've seen we got some new subscribers, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining my YouTube channel. If you listen that way or you watch that way, I appreciate you. Be sure to give a like, a subscribe, and tap that notification bell. I usually do a podcast or a vlog, wherever you're watching every week. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Pinterest. Those handles are Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And lastly, I have a link tree with all of my handles, including my social handles, my podcasting platforms, and important links, including my website, where you can find my daily vlog, my daily blog post, and so much more. That that is all under Linktree, under Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I want to thank you for sharing a few minutes with me today. Remember, you are loved, you are enough, you matter. Don't give up. Don't you ever give up. And we'll talk at you soon. Have a good week, everyone. Take care and bye for now.